Why the unknown regions could be so important. That's the headline on this week's Force Friday show.
Yes, Stephen, this one's coming in from Digital Spy, and as you did say,
yes,
it's all about the unknown regions and why it might be absolutely vital to the story in The Rise of Skywalker. Stephen, this is all very nerdy, they say. It's a nerdy deep dive into the Star Wars novels and beyond, because obviously, Stephen, we have had a wide look at a whole manner of things in the new canon, but they have apparently been looking at Sith Troopers as well in the extended universe, and just these two things are apparently connected because the Sith Troopers' origins have been expanded out, and it has been revealed that they are somehow involved with the unknown regions of the galaxy. Yep. Apparently, I think it was Palpatine, they say in the article, just prior to the events of his tragic demise, being flung down that shaft by Darth Julius Vader, he had a mission in place to use Jakku, I believe, as a jump into the unknown regions. They discovered this place or something, location, and this is where these troops are all being based. Now, it's very intriguing, Stephen. What is your thoughts on it? We're getting a bit of music here. It's Star Trek related, which is not what we want at all. What's your thoughts on this, Stephen? Is this something that you want to see being a part of The Rise of Skywalker? Do you want to see them taking a deeper look at the unknown regions? We have spoke about speculative little tidbits and whatnot about I think the Knights of Ren coming from the unknown regions, bearing news of greater threats, and that this may bring Kylo together with Rey, and they may be good little two shoes. So what's your thoughts?
It's a very interesting article, John. It does say that Palpatine had set up a secret observatory.
Yes,
on
I didn't know about this.
I didn't either, John, whose computers were busy plotting a safe course into the unknown regions. Now, obviously, with Palpatine's so-called demise and Return of the Jedi, obviously he never got to foresee his whole big plan in place. But do I want to see this in The Rise of Skywalker? No. I think it's too in-depth to get into a film which you're telling me the running time's
apparently
shorter than we were anticipating.
Yeah, Steve, apparently the running time is 135 minutes. There was some leak about the score.
What's that then, 2 hours 15?
2 hours and 15 minutes.
I would have to check back on the running time of the previous Star Wars films.
Last
The Last
was
Jedi is the
2 hours
longest.
and 30 minutes.
Yeah.
35, I think.
There was early rumours that this film is going to be roughly about the same length as The Last Jedi, so it's interesting. But nevertheless, back on topic. It's interesting. I'm very interested. I thought it was a great article, and it's something that Star Wars or Lucasfilm should look into, perhaps in another trilogy. I think maybe the Unknown Regions trilogy, it could be called, as an idea. Doing it for a third act in a trilogy, I don't know. It's going to be too shoehorned in if they go down that road. It's going to be very glaring and kind of disjointing the whole sort of pacing and theme of the previous two films, and where that was going. I think it really depends if they're going to just skim the surface or not. You're kind of getting those indications from the trailer, John, that our good guys are on a mission. It looks like they're in search of something. Yeah. But we naturally assumed that was the forest moon of Endor. I think it is. I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah. So I don't know how this would fit into this episode 9 theme and storyline. I don't understand how they've came to that conclusion, other than the link between the likes of where the Knights of Ren are, and obviously these
Kyber crystals as well.
Yeah, the Kyber crystals and these Sith troopers as well. So
yeah, Stephen, it's all very convoluted. They seem to be getting all discombobulated, getting off in various different threads.
And so am I reading this.
Yeah, it's quite confusing, I have to say. I wasn't aware, as I did say, that Palpatine had set in place plans. I knew that he sent Thrawn away in the original expanded universe. He was away. I think he'd fallen out of favour with the hierarchy within the Empire, and he was sent away to the unknown regions for a secret mission. I didn't realise they'd carried this over to the new canon. I knew Thrawn had come back. Yeah. I am well behind those, Stephen, admittedly, in the Timothy Zahn novels. I have to catch up. The guy's such a good writer. One of my favourite things from that expanded universe, amidst a myriad of absolute shit, was his novels. They were fantastic, and the Thrawn character was a really good villain who was a fitting antagonists against Luke after the events of the original trilogy. I've not caught up, maybe in that, where he fleshes out what he was up to. Apparently he was setting up storehouses and shipyards and laboratories throughout the area. And apparently, just prior to the Battle of Endor, Palpatine, just prior to he died actually, his computer, I think, a computer had found a route to this locale, and his ship at the Eclipse made a jump to hyperspace, and then Armitage Hux followed him. So it's all intriguing. If this is indeed canon, and this isn't all just speculative,
I think that there could be some truth in it, John. I think it would make sense for Palpatine, if he's got sort of word of Act 2 as well, he would have been desperate to find that, you know, the original Jedi Temple as well, for those sacred texts. So I think it does make sense that he would do something like this, you know, to seek out these sort of areas. It doesn't say
where they were going though on this route.
Well,
it just says the Eclipse went off on a trailblazing voyage. It never.
It might have been that then. It might have been, you know, in search of the first Jedi Temple. So who knows? Stephen,
it's very intriguing. It's intriguing to see how they're going to make this all marry in. If indeed this is the route they're going down, they do say, as I said previously, Kyber crystals may have a role to play. I think it's Ilum or Ulum. I can't say the name. I think it's Ilum. Is a renowned planet for Kyber crystals. So obviously Rey has not got a lightsaber. We do see she has a lightsaber in actual fact, but perhaps they'll get into how she builds it. Maybe they won't. They never did it with Luke. And that may be a reason for her to go off to the unknown regions. But as I said previously as well, they have been hinting that the unknown regions will have a big role to play, with the Knights of Ren perhaps being out there during the events of the previous two movies and then coming back bearing news. Could be that this is linking into the Sheath as well. That's maybe where he's went off. Perhaps he's done cloning, or as we'll get into later on, there's some other nefarious acts that will tie it in. But look, I cannot wait to see these Sith Troopers. And Stephen, that's going to interconnect beautifully into the next topic, because this is all about the Sith Troopers, who apparently are coming from the unknown regions, but apparently they only answer to Kylo Ren. Disney Lucasfilm have recently released, I think, an array of toys or figurines.
Oh, surprise, surprise.
Yeah, Sith Trooper figurines.
So that's not the real reason they're doing it? Okay.
Oh, of course, Stephen, that's exactly why they're doing it. And apparently this is revealing that the answer to Kylo Ren and Kylo Ren only. I think it was actually through a t-shirt, Stephen. It wasn't actually the figurines themselves. It says, under the strict command of Kylo and the Knights of Ren. So, Stephen, we'll have some conflicting reports on this later on in the show, although this seems quite a bit more official than the Daily Express, I think it is. What's your thoughts on this? Out with the whole, obviously, cynical manufacturing or merchandising cash grab thing.
Not going about that, because we know we're not daft. But
Star Wars had its roots in that anyway, didn't it?
Yes,
really?
Exactly. The question is, where have they been? It could be because of the time jump. These troopers were created in the time in between The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker, which would be fair enough. Answering only to Kylo Ren as well it reminds me of the Imperial Guards only answering to Palpatine. So there's that sort of echoes of previous.
Obviously, Snoke as well, with his absolutely useless guards who would pirouette.
Plastic things, I hated them.
Pirouette instead of fighting.
Yeah. I watched the Corridor Crew, or whatever they're called.
Corridor Crew,
they were dissecting that scene. Was hilarious.
Jesus.
But I'll get back on topic. Yeah, I think I like the look of them. You know, I can't deny that they do look pretty cool. Star Wars has got previous for doing this to fans, so. We saw it with Boba Fett, we saw it with Captain Phasma as well. These cool looking characters that are so underutilised, but I think they are going to have a big part to play. I hope they have a big part to play, but then again, the Dark Troopers, is that what they were called? Death Troopers?
Death Troopers,
in Rogue One.
They
only had about maybe 2 minutes on screen at the very beginning, and if you look at the...
And at the end though, remember on the crate, at the end of fighting when...
Well, I can't remember.
Donnie Yen's character, whose name eludes me at the moment. He was I am one with the Force is with me. They were bunkered down on the beach.
Because they were the front cover of the visual dictionary for that
they were very cool. They were.
It's a bit strange considering, you know, they weren't really that big part in the story. But I would like to see them join. I hope they are utilised in the correct fashion as well.
Yeah, Stephen, they're saying here again, they're going off on a wild tangent again here and saying that potentially, according to Star Wars 9 rumours, I don't know where they have this from, perhaps it's Mike Zeal, that Kylo's mission in this movie will be to find something called the Wayfinder device, if I can speak. And he's apparently looking to locate a secretive fleet in the
Wayfinder device. Sounds like a compass.
Device, yeah, that's essentially what it is, Stephen. But he's apparently looking to locate the location of a secretive fleet in the unknown regions. And apparently, I don't know what this has to do with the actual main topic, but they do say that the intriguing thing from this T-shirt is that the use of the word battalion, that this could indicate 300 to 800 soldiers, and that Kylo has, in a sense, his own mini army. Now, Stephen, I think this is intriguing purely because of the power dynamic between General Hux and Kylo Ren in this movie. We know these two guys hate each other. There was talk that General Hux would be flip-flopping between the Resistance, trying to cause disharmony within the First Order, maybe leak information, and obviously paint Kylo in a poor light within the hierarchy of the First Order. So it'll be intriguing to see how this will play in with the power dynamic. Will he have control of the regular white troopers? And will Kylo then be bringing these Sith troopers in to slap him down a notch? I don't know, it's very intriguing. I can't wait to see what's going to be going on with these troopers anyway. I hope it isn't another, as you said, Captain Phasma or Boba Fett, where they're just brought in to sell toys. They're very cool looking, but ultimately when it comes to storytelling, they are completely superfluous and totally underutilised.
Yeah.
I hope that's not the case.
Fingers crossed.
But look, again, it's just playing back in finally to the unknown regions again. Apparently these chaps may have something to do with Sheev, they may have something to do with Kylo, but it's all linking into this unknown regions. I think there is no smoke without fire, Stephen. I do think
that's true.
That particular uncharted region of the galaxy, it was very prominent in The Force Awakens also, with Act 2 being within that region, and then the search for Luke Skywalker ultimately leading there. And also Snoke coming from there as well and founding the First Order. I think we'll go back, as we've said time and again, Star Wars is like poetry, it repeats itself. So do I, incidentally, way too often. So I think that'll be a beautiful another piece of poetry. It started there, this sequel trilogy in a sense, the founding of the First Order, Luke Skywalker, where he ended up, and then it'll end there. That'd be beautiful. But look, ain't got much more to add. It's all speculation, Stephen, and I'm going to move on to another speculative topic. This is all about Palpatine. I'm hoping I've done the right thing here. I hope I've not jumped on about 20.
No, I think it makes sense to do that one, John.
Yeah, it's all about Palpatine, Stephen, and whether he was there in this chilling Last Jedi scene. Now, Stephen, I read through this article. I don't think we ever truly ascertained what chilling scene they were referring to.
No.
I says to you, I don't recall a chilling scene in The Last Jedi, apart from Luke Skywalker passing away.
Yeah, they do refer to that throne room scene because apparently it used the Palpatine theme music. I didn't.
Oh yeah, that was what it was.
That.
Was that chilling though?
No,
Him dying, I laughed at that.
Not really. A lot of people regard it as the best sequence in the film. I didn't really feel that at all.
No, I'll tell you what my best sequence was, Stephen. The moment Holdo, Hyper, jumped to hyperspace,
that was pretty cool, that
through
was
the supremacy.
And obviously the Luke and Yoda scenes as well. But
of course.
This
and that's a great scene between Luke and Leia.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't forget that. That was the best story.
I think what they're trying to do is that Palpatine. They're suggesting that Palpatine was sort of influenced Snoke's form in the throne room scene because it mirrors everything that happened in the Return of the Jedi. No, that was just bad writing, really. It was just lazy. Let's just repeat what we've already done.
Yeah.
George Lucas says it's everything has it's all poetry and repeats itself. Well, not to that extent. It doesn't. You're copying everything.
Not in terms of in the world sort of a meaning as well, Stephen. If this is Palpatine truly living vicariously through Snoke, this guy's seen this play out 30 years previous with Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker. He would know. He'd be like, I can see things moving, and this is like deja vu. Let's get in there and not do this. He would have seen it a mile away. It doesn't make sense. Your friends as yours.
Yeah, it's exactly the same scene, just different dialogue. Same situation and scenario that we see our young hero being goaded and manipulated. Was there Force lightning? I can't remember.
Yeah, there was. Yeah,
there was a bit of that.
I think so. Yeah.
Or was that? I think that was towards Kylo Ren earlier on in the film.
Yeah,
actually.
It was.
Snoke kind of just threw her about and bopped that lightsaber off the back of her head, which is pretty cool. But apart from that, John, you're right. If we're getting into the sort of the world of these characters, Palpatine is a smart cookie. He would not repeat what he's already done before, which met his doom, and he certainly wouldn't do it again. I don't know. I think it's really just. it's heavy speculative, but there is a mention of Matt Smith in there as well, John. Won't he appear in The Last Jedi, which prompted many to suggest that he might play a dark side acolyte who is possessed by Palpatine using essence transfer, also referred to as transfer essence. Wow.
That was ridiculous, Stephen.
Yeah.
Essence transfer.
I thought my
also
writing was
referred to
terrible.
as transfer essence. Well, stating the obvious, some would say no shit Sherlock. But Stephen, and funnily enough, Matt Smith would be a fantastic Sherlock as well. That's something I'd love to see in the future. Once Benedict Cumberbatch hands
Matt
up his
Smith
coat.
would be a great young Palpatine. You know, either in flashback scenes or perhaps in this Bioff and Wise. It could both tie into both. Sort of at the ending of the Rise of Skywalker, those flashback scenes with Matt Smith playing the young Palpatine, and then he could play the same role in the sort of Knights of the Old Republic. Palpatine, who knows?
Stephen, I have to say though, I would love to see Matt Smith in here. I don't know if he's going to be in the movie because it's been a willy-wonky situation for the better part of 6 to 7 months. I would love to see the dark side acolyte thing, this sort of a crazed, almost like, I'm trying to think what his name was, Quirrell. I think it was Professor Quirrell from the Philosopher's Stone, Harry Potter. This deranged sort of a figure, almost possessed with the essence of Voldemort, only done better. In Star Wars, and it being Chief Palpatine possessing without the face at the back and the turban and stuff like that, done better, as I said. That'd be very intriguing to see him being challenged in that level in terms of acting ability, having to get through all of those emotions of fighting off this evil presence, maybe just becoming, perhaps not fighting off, just becoming completely consumed by the presence, and just what that would bring to the story would be very cool. I don't know if it's true. As I did say, it's all very speculative, Stephen, but look, yeah, I mean, I've not got much more to add in terms of Palpatine. Was he there? No, he wasn't. He's dead, and as far as I'm concerned. And if they are going to utilise Palpatine in any way that isn't dead and buried, and he's going to be some strange Force relic or ghost tethered to the obviously the ruins of the Death Star. I was about to say the Death Star. Then I'd prefer it to be maybe a clone. So something like that. I've done that before in this expanded universe, and again it will link into the unknown regions, and we'll see maybe a cloned version. Could it be Palpatine or being played by Matt Smith? I don't know.
I would rather see
I've no
better
idea.
writing, John, to be honest with
you.
Yeah.
Stephen, we both spoke about it. I would have rather they didn't have to go down the road of reusing Palpatine. It just smacks in the face of everything that was accomplished in the original trilogy. I would have much rather, as we both said,
let the past die.
Let the past die, yeah, but utilise Plagueis. It was so simple.
Yeah.
They could have had Snoke be Plagueis, have that play out long term over the 3 arcing stories of the trilogy, but it's too simple for them, and it was what Star Wars fans wanted more than anything. So they said, no, we'll not do that. We'll kill Snoke in the middle story, and then we will reintroduce the big bad from the original trilogy, Chief Palpatine. And it's just smacks of being overly convoluted, and it's just bad writing, as you said, Stephen. But look, Stephen, I'm going to move on because I've got not much more to add, and I'm gibbering away. So we'll move on to a slightly more light-hearted topic. This one's all about Star Wars Resistance.
Yes.
The Season 2 trailer, which has brought us Kylo Ren into the final season, Stephen. It's been confirmed to be the final, the second and the final season. What was your thoughts on this? We both watched the trailer, Stephen. We haven't seen it.
No.
I haven't. I can't speak for you, but I've not seen the first season.
John. I'm not surprised that it's only lasting 2 seasons, did you say?
2 seasons, yeah.
It's slapped in the middle between The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker, isn't it? Mm-hmm. It's very similar to what they did with the Clone Wars as well.
Between the Clone Wars and obviously
Attack of the Clones and
Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, that's
and then Rebels was between that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I enjoyed the trailer, John. I thought it was very interesting. I've always been impressed by the animation as well. It's something that's so different to what's been used before in Rebels and Clone Wars stuff, and droids and Ewoks, if you can go further back. I like the look of this. I think once the actual series has concluded, I think I would want to watch these back to back, like a sort of big feature film type thing, Yeah. Because I do like the look of it. I like the tone of it as well. It's more, is it right to say adult orientated? It seems more serious in its look and its tone than the likes of Clone Wars and Rebels, which is more Disney. What's that channel called? The XD, is it?
Yeah.
It just seems to be a little bit more mature as well, which I like. And it's interesting to get to know these characters a little bit better as well. You know, from what we don't see in the films, we can actually, you know, fill in the blanks in these, you know, these 2 seasons.
Yeah, Stephen, I've really enjoyed the trailer. First and foremost, I like the animation style. I don't know why I haven't went and watched the first season, but certainly animation-wise and visual-wise, it looks very cool. The characters look colourful. The acting looks pretty damn decent across the board, the voice acting, although I did say Kylo Ren's voice was god-awful.
Yeah.
Absolutely terrible. They should have got that guy who did the voice for Kylo Ren in the Force of Darkness fan film if they couldn't get Adam Driver, because he nailed it. But Stephen, yeah, I mean, it looks okay. I'm not surprised they're bringing Kylo Ren in. Obviously, if this is leading into the events of Rise of Skywalker, I have not seen it. Apparently, these ragtag group of heroic sort of figures are taking on the First Order and doing their best to perhaps, I think I read it was espionage missions and guerrilla warfare. Perhaps they've continued that on, they're doing their best, and then this is leading them on a fatal, obviously, course to clash with Kylo Ren potentially. So I'm not surprised to see he's coming in. I can't add much more other than to say that, much like yourself, I'd have to go back and watch after the event and maybe take my final thoughts and whatnot after that, and talk about it in greater depth, because I haven't seen it. But certainly if it's anything like Clone Wars and Rebels, Stephen, then I'll be well on board, because that was just some of the best writing.
Well, there's going to be that gap, John, after the Rise of Skywalker. I think it's a gap of 2 or 3 years, I can't remember. 3 years?
I was slightly concerned. Yeah, it said 3 years.
It would make sense for, you know, people like ourselves who've not watched it to maybe, you know, this could be the time to do that.
Certainly when we aren't getting Disney Plus, and we'll not be able to see The Mandalorian until next year.
Yeah, no. Shocking.
Eh? Yeah, shocking. Yeah, Stephen. But look, on that note, we shall move on to the final topic. This one broke fairly recent, Stephen. It's all about Rian Johnson. We could have made this a headline, but to be quite frank, it's 2 quotes from, I think, coming soon.
And we want people to come into the show.
We want people to come in to the show, and a lot of people don't like Rian Johnson because they think he's got a round head. Look, I've said time again.
Only reason.
Yeah, Stephen, I like the guy in terms of a director out with the realms of Star Wars.
Yeah.
There was elements of the Last Jedi which I did enjoy, as we spoke about that great scene between obviously Leia and Luke, the spark, the music and everything was beautiful. Also the moment between Yoda and Luke as well. There was elements within there amongst a lot of absolute crap, which I did enjoy. It's still probably one of the best looking Star Wars movies today, but yeah, it wasn't great. But look, Stephen, he's discussing his new trilogy anyway. He says that it will step beyond the legacy of the characters. Now, it's a very long quote, but it's not long enough that I'm not going to dive in and read it out. Yeah. He essentially says, we're doing something that steps beyond the legacy of characters. What does it look like? To me, the blue sky element of it is what was most striking about it. I know that I'm coming at it, and what's fun about it for everyone in George Lucas's films is figuring it out. What's the next step? He's went on to say it really makes you think and figure what the essence of Star Wars is for me and what it will look like moving forward. Now, Stephen, he's compared making this to Knives Out, also his next movie, and he says that the only real difference is the time you batter through perhaps an independent movie like Knives Out very quickly. The production's short and sweet, whereas it's more obviously elongated or whatever, you know, dragged out with a bigger production in Star Wars. Yeah. And he says that dialogue has to be as efficient as possible in a Star Wars movie, whereas in Knives Out he can use the dialogue and use it heavily without the whole movie, and let the actors just do their thing in front of the camera, and it's a joy to watch. Now, I'll let you in, Stephen, and give your thoughts on one of the most Vegas quotes ever. It's not said much there really. No. He says something about blue skies. But what's your thoughts on this concept of the dialogue, Stephen, that being the primary difference? Because we were speaking about that before we came on.
The big ass door and your mother's bastards.
Chrome Dome.
The one...
Put my big fist, my fist through this beautiful town. Wow. Great dialogue, Ryan. Kylo Ren is strong with the Force.
Yeah, it's terrible. I don't really. He's been asked a question, possibly at some kind of Knives Out sort of red carpet event about Star Wars.
Yeah, it was the Observer he was speaking with.
Yeah, they've just thrown that in there, getting an opportunity to speak to him about Star Wars. He's probably rolled his eyes and gave them, threw a few crumbs their way, because there's absolutely nothing really in the quote, John, other than that, other than to say, by the way, guys, I'm still involved in Star Wars films, and take that whatever way you want.
Yeah, Stephen, I can't really add much more to that. I really can't. It's so vague.
No.
There's not even anything.
Consider this the headline this week, but I'm glad we didn't.
Yeah. Yeah, Stephen. But the blue sky element, what I would take from that, other than just being a sort of a metaphorical theme that
could
he's
be an ELO fan.
Yeah, it could be an ELO fan, yeah. But the blue sky element of Tatooine was one thing that always struck me, Stephen, watching Star Wars back as a child and into my adult years. That beautiful blue sky was very beautiful.
Yeah, I wanted to go there on my holidays myself,
Yeah, apart from those huts, and obviously, I would have loved to have visited the Toshi station to pick up some power converters, Stephen.
I think we can probably just briefly talk about Galaxy's Edge then, John, while we're talking about Star Wars locations. This is one of the things they've missed out on, is including your very own Tatooine. Just as you said, it's a place you would have loved to have went to as a kid. What's your thoughts on the news coming out about the sort of turnout that's been happening over, at the theme park?
Stephen, I'm laughing my head off maniacally at night at this, because I can't go there. It's too far away, and I can't get a chance to go. Euro Disneyland isn't even being thrown the crumb yet. I think they're getting a half-scale version. Wow. Yeah, Stephen, it's an absolute disaster for Lucasfilm and Disney, really, isn't it? They've spent ridiculous amounts of money. Apparently, the Millennium Falcon ride, I think it's Smuggler's Run or something. It's an absolute disaster. It's like an arcade game, a terrible arcade game. The queues are non-existent. Nobody's going to it. They haven't half the hours of the employees.
Wow.
It's not doing very well. They're saying that if it doesn't pick up by February next year, they will be potentially rebranding and changing it into an Aladdin-themed area. And I don't think that's what's going to happen, Stephen. I think they will stick by it, because they're very stubborn. Very, very stubborn when it comes to Star Wars. They will not admit when they're wrong.
The fact they've based it on the sequel trilogy as well, rather than as a whole, which I think you're alienating a lot of the fans right away. But again...
Yeah, Stephen, that's the final thing I would add about the whole thing. If they'd utilised this and made it like a complete Star Wars experience, this whole area, I don't know how much spare ground they have in these big, obviously ridiculously sprawling theme parks, but if they could have somehow incorporated elements of all the various time periods, perhaps a Hoth part, Tatooine, even go into like Geonosis and things like that from the Coruscant, and maybe even the Boo from the prequel trilogy. One thing you can't say about the prequel trilogy, the dialogue was shocking, but the locations and visual effects were absolutely stunning. In the main, I'm talking about the locations and set designs and whatnot, not the CG, that was god awful. But if they could have utilised that along with the original trilogy locations and an element of the sequel trilogy, gave us more actors in the vein of like a Darth Vader, Han Solo, Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia, and even going and doing a Mace Windu and things like that, Yoda, Count Dooku. Then I think more people would have been maybe willing to go and part with the hard-earned cash. I don't think they've done enough with the ride designs. I don't think they've did enough with the scope of the actual area. It's too centric on this. I think what the hell's the name of the planet again? I've lost the plot. I can't recall what it is. But it's the outpost anyway. I can't recall. It's annoying me. But it's too sequel trilogy centric. A lot of people are disconnected from that, and I think they've cut their own throats really, and it's going to hit them in the bank. So look, I don't care. I'll never get to go. So horses for courses, as the late great George Martin said, Stephen. But look, that's going to round up this week's Force Friday show. What did you make of the array of topics we spoke about? Very speculative and obviously Mike Zero heavy this week. But do you think the Unknown Regions will play a big part in the sequel trilogy, The Rise of Skywalker? What the hell did you make of the potential Palpatine Eureka moment? Was he involved in that throne sequence in The Last Jedi? We don't think so, but do you? Well, if you've got anything to say at all, comment below and let us know what your thoughts were. Like the video if you've enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying the content, and both me and Stephen will be back on Monday with MBE Box Office.